So the book, The Fire is Upon Us, James Baldwin, William F. Buckley Jr., and the Debate Over Race in America is a book that uses the 1965 debate between Baldwin, who was the sort of leading literary voice of the civil rights movement, and Buckley, William F. Buckley, who was the leading polemicist of the conservative movement. They debated in the Cambridge Union in 1965, and the resolution was the American dream is at the expense of the American Negro. The book kind of takes that debate as sort of the climactic moment, and what it is they're basically contemporaries, Buckley and Baldwin, and so I start sort of mostly in the late 1940s when both of them are coming of age intellectually, and I sort of do a joint intellectual biography set against the backdrop of the rise of the civil rights and conservative movements. In 1965, it's sort of like, the apex, of the civil rights movement. I mean, in the sense that you have, a lot of progress had been made in the previous few years, and so you kind of, the debate is a really fascinating way, to sort of peek in to that, because you have Buckley, who's resisted the civil rights movement at pretty much every step along the way, who is kind of coming to terms with the fact that his side has lost that battle, that series of battles, and then you have Baldwin, who is, of course, very happy with the progress that's been made on a lot of these areas, but still knows that there's a kind of a fundamental kind of moral change in the society that has not yet happened, even though these legal changes have happened. And so I think Baldwin and Buckley, although neither of them is really political theorists in the most strict sense of the word, they are concerned with these fundamental questions about American democracy, about what freedom means, about what equality means, about how we should live together. And so I think that a lot of the issues that they're discussing are relevant to our own day. And I think in terms of understanding, the contemporary conservative movement and, movements like Black Lives Matter, I think Baldwin and Buckley can help us understand the kind of genealogy of those movements and make sense of them in our own time. I think they could have had a more interesting conversation with each other than they did, if they were, able to listen to each other. But I think they saw each other as enemies, and they treated each other as enemies. And so that was, I think, kind of a sad. It would have been nice if they had a kind of conversation where they were able to listen to each other a little bit, and maybe one can imagine some progress being made. But that, alas, is not to be.